Welcome to Self-Care for School Staff, presented by Youth First. Self-care is not a selfish act or being self-indulgent. As caretakers, we need to remember that we cannot nurture others from a dry well. We need to take care of our own needs first, and then we'll be able to give from our own surplus or our abundance. Take a moment to think about the following questions. When you think back to last school year and what your experience was like, what are the top 3 words that you would use to describe that? Perhaps you might think of words like confusing, scary, unprecedented, something you don't ever want to repeat. But maybe you also might think of words like rewarding, insightful, grateful. And then I want you to think about what are the top 3 words you would use to describe this school year so far. Again, since we're experiencing things that we've never really experienced before, there's probably a lot of confusion, but hopefully still a sense of rewarding as well. Take a minute to write down those words or just think about them in your mind. The focus of what we're going to talk about today is called sustainable caring. So we all know that caring means the things that we do to keep someone healthy and safe. Sustainable means being able to be used without being completely used up or destroyed. So not just being useful, but being useful to the point that you're not used up or destroyed, so you continue to be useful. And then what we want to talk about is sustainable caring, which for our purposes is being able to consistently provide compassionate care to others with resilience in ourselves to help others with their pain and suffering. So we're going to look at this compassion continuum, and I want you to think about, as we go through these, where do you find yourself today on this continuum? So compassion means identifying with the suffering of another human and having a desire to relieve this suffering. What causes compassion in you when you see others hurting? Compassion satisfaction is what we mean by the pleasure that you derive from the work of helping others. So that's the rewarding part of your work, the things that make you appreciate what you do and make you feel good about it. Compassion fatigue is the deep physical and emotional exhaustion and a pronounced change in your ability to feel empathy for clients, loved ones, or coworkers. So starting to get so exhausted that perhaps you're not as able to feel empathy for others. Vicarious trauma is what we mean by the transmission of traumatic stress through observation or hearing other stories of traumatic events that results in a shift in your own worldview and your sense of meaning. So after working with and caring for children or others who have experienced a lot of traumatic events, over time, this can start to mess with our own worldview and our own sense of meaning. It hurts to see people you care about in pain. Burnout is the extreme circumstance where your health is actually suffering or your outlook on life has turned overly negative due to the impact of your work or from being overloaded from work. Vicarious post-traumatic growth refers to the significant positive symptoms that can happen when we do trauma work, and then the impact that this has on our own personal growth as we get through that work. Sustainable caring, again, being able to consistently provide compassionate care with resilience toward the pain and suffering of others. So you might be thinking, well, how do I know where I'm at on this continuum? That's a very good question. So we want to think about what are the signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue. So you'll see here on this chart, we have things like behavioral symptoms. These would be things like losing track of things, being snippy or sarcastic, having trouble sleeping, changes in your appetite, using negative or unhealthy coping strategies like smoking, drinking, using other substances, shopping, being overly vigilant and nervous, dreaming about clients or patients or students because they're on your mind so much, having outbursts of anger. There are physical symptoms of compassion fatigue: rapid heart rate, difficulty breathing, or feeling like you just can't take a deep breath, aches and pains that don't really have any other explanation. Again, it can affect your appetite and your sleep, feeling dizzy, having your immune system compromised. Maybe you're sleeping, but you just still don't feel rested when you wake up, having trouble relaxing. Spiritual signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue. Maybe you find yourself questioning, what's the meaning of life? What's my purpose? Do I even have one? A lack of self-satisfaction, an overall feeling of hopelessness, being angry at God, questioning your religious beliefs, not engaging in spiritual self-care, letting go of coping skills that you've used before, like yoga or meditation, no longer feeling connected to others. And we have interpersonal signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue: being withdrawn, a decreased interest in intimacy or sex, or a decreased interest in things that you previously enjoyed or found important. Mistrust, isolation from family and friends, maybe being overprotective of your kids, expecting perfection from them, projecting your anger and blame onto other people, being intolerant, loneliness, lowered functioning in non-professional situations. So maybe it takes all of your energy to keep up at work, and so you find yourself not really performing in your personal life or functioning at the same level that you used to. Difficulty separating work from personal. There are also emotional, cognitive, and work-related symptoms of compassion fatigue. So being moody or irritable, having a lot of anger, feeling numb, being hypersensitive, feeling like you're on a roller coaster, feeling like you just are out of gas, depleted, finding it hard to concentrate or getting distracted easily, being a lot more critical of yourself and others, feeling like you can't slow down your thoughts and focus on one thing. being really indecisive and having trouble just making simple decisions, feeling less competent in your work, feeling less sense of purpose, less enjoyment with your career, dreading Mondays, wanting to call in sick, thinking about finding another job, why bother attitude, being pessimistic and disconnected. So those are some of the signs and symptoms of what it might look like to have compassion fatigue. So how do we get there? How do we go from having compassion and being able to act on it to being overly depleted? Well, let's think about what is your current experience. And we want to think about this in terms of input versus output. So in your daily life roles and responsibilities, think about your outputs. In other words, in a given day, what are all the tasks that you need to accomplish in order to fill your roles and responsibilities both personally and professionally? So think about what are all the roles that you have? Are you a parent? Are you someone's child? Are you someone's sibling, someone's coworker, someone's teacher, someone's counselor? What are all of your roles? Neighbor, friend. And then think about what are all the tasks that you have to accomplish in one day, any given day, in order to fill those roles and responsibilities. Might be a little overwhelming. And then I want you to think about your daily life nourishing activities or your inputs. In any given day, what are all the activities you have that nourish you personally and professionally? So, what are the ways that you're feeding yourself or pouring into yourself, personally and professionally? What are you doing to provide yourself with healthy coping skills? What are you doing professionally to provide yourself with healthy outlets or coping? And then something to consider. Your current experience, whatever that is it really sustainable? When you think about your current input versus your current output, ask yourself these questions. Is it manageable? Is it manageable for a long period of time? Sometimes things are manageable. We can do anything for a short amount of time, but is it manageable over the long haul? Is this the way you want your daily life and your quality of life to be? Really think about that. Would you recommend someone else strive to maintain this lifestyle? If a friend or someone you care a lot about was trying to keep up with the inputs and outputs of your life, would you encourage them to keep doing that? Your current signs and symptoms are a result of your current experience. So, whatever signs and symptoms you recognized, whether they be physical, emotional, spiritual, cognitive, work related, those signs and symptoms are the cost of caring for yourself. So, the way that you're managing those signs and symptoms and the signs and symptoms that you're experiencing, that's the price you're paying for your current situation, your current experience of inputs and outputs. So why? Why are we in this place? Well, think about something called compassionate curiosity. Your compassionate curiosity is what has led you to your current daily life roles, responsibilities, and tasks. Something has reinforced this lifestyle. It probably appeared sustainable once upon a time. You might have even thrived on the busyness or the excitement of having so many roles and responsibilities. But it could be causing you harm. There's no judgment here, just trying to bring awareness. Sometimes our compassionate curiosity is fed by the beliefs that we developed in childhood. Sometimes because we get praise for taking care of others, or we have this expectation on ourselves to be selfless. Maybe our religious beliefs encourage that. Maybe we're a perfectionist and we just don't feel worthy if we're not doing for others. The key is to develop awareness as to why we make the choices we make, and then we can recognize and work to change the ones that are contributing to our compassion fatigue. No judgments here about how compassion fatigue develops. We just want to start by bringing awareness to what the experiences are and what's contributing to them so that you can be open to strategies that lead you into sustainable caring, even if they might be uncomfortable at first. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable will be easier if you can draw on your foundation of values and what you want your future quality of life to be. It's more effective to work towards something positive than to try escaping something negative. So as we're doing this, what we want to think about are what are our most important values. If we're living from our most important values, then we're going to be increasing our compassion satisfaction and we're going to be building a good foundation for sustainable caring. So take a few minutes to think about what are the 5 most important values to you. You as an individual human being, you as a teacher, as a parent, as a friend, as a counselor, whatever roles and responsibilities you have, what are the 5 most important values to you? You can use this list for ideas or you can come up with your own. This is not all inclusive. Now, we want to think about how do we make decisions throughout the day? So ask yourself these questions. What things am I saying or doing that are not really helping me meet my long-term goals or live by my values? So if one of my values is spending time with my family, what am I doing that's not helping me meet those long-term goals or live by my values? Am I going to work early and leaving late? Spending too much time at the office or at the school? Am I expecting perfection? Am I procrastinating? What are the things I'm doing that are not helping me? And then ask yourself, what things am I saying or doing that are helping me meet my long-term goals and live by my values? Some examples of this would be taking breaks when you need them, scheduling breaks to keep yourself rejuvenated, making sure that you tap into professional development, make sure that you're connecting with others and taking time for that. So what are the ways that you are helping yourself meet your long-term goals and live by your values? Next, what are the things that you think and feel that are unpleasant? Are you focusing on what if questions of what if this goes wrong? What if this person thinks that? What if someone sees me doing this and they start to think I'm selfish? What painful memories are you playing over in your head? And then, what things are you thinking and feeling that are pleasant? And are they lining up with your values? Hopefully so. If your values are around your family and your friends and your faith and your health, hopefully the pleasant thoughts you're having are about those things. And if they're not, the good news is you can change that. One way to start doing that is mindfully, purposefully looking for positive events and opportunities for gratitude in our work, whether we're teachers, counselors, administrators, whatever our work is. We see a lot of negative, bad news over and over and over. We have to balance this out with seeing the positive events and gratitude, even if they're small things, because those small things add up. It's a shift of thinking and energy for your brain and your body. When you do start to identify these positive events and opportunities for gratitude, it's important that you share them with others. Write them down, post them on your mirror, post them on your social media. What are you grateful for? What positive events have you recognized and seen? We even have a tracking tool for you to use for this purpose. We're going to call it the Happy Tracker. So it's very simple. You could even create your own, however you wanted to do this. But basically, you're just going to look at each day of the week and you're going to jot down what are some positive events that happened during this day and what are some opportunities for gratitude. What are some things that happen throughout the day that you can be grateful for? It's going to take a lot of intentional thinking to identify these things, but just like anything else, the more we practice it, the easier it will become and the better we'll get at doing it. So we all need to have what we call our non-negotiable self-care. So think about, what will you do? You don't have to do all of these things every day, but we need to be trying to do at least one or more of them each day. Get your body moving. 30 minutes is a good time to shoot for, but if you can't do that or you don't have time for that, start out smaller or start out doing 10 minutes earlier in the day and 10 minutes later in the day. Focus on your breathing. Take a couple of minutes to just quietly focus on your breathing. Nutrition. Make sure that you're getting your body the fuel that it needs. Connection. Are you connecting with others that are positive and encouraging to you? Or are there connections that maybe aren't helping you? Perhaps it's time to think about unconnecting. And nature. Spend some time in nature. We recommend 20 minutes a day if possible. It might be extra helpful if you could do your body movement and your nature together at the same time by taking a walk outside. I'd like for you to recognize this quote, everything is figure-outable. So when you start to feel overwhelmed, just remember, everything is figure-outable. This presentation was taken from information produced by Charlene Richard, who is the founder of Caring Safely and a compassion fatigue expert. If you'd like more information on social and emotional resources, especially with regard to schools and parenting, please visit Youth First website at www.youthfirstinc.org/SEL materials. And today's presenter from Youth First has been Elizabeth Christmas, Regional Clinical Supervisor. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at the address listed there. Thank you very much for your attendance. Have a great day.